All right, let's get started. So I am so happy to see everyone's faces this morning. This is a very special edition of Minding Her Black Business, our weekly series here at Blvck Womxn Worldwide, where we connect folks from all over the diaspora, Black women from all different places, based on your areas of interest and your personal goals. The purpose of this conversation, which occurs every single Saturday, is to make sure that we are always connecting women based on the resources that they have available, the goals that they have for themselves, and also knowing where a woman is in spaces that are not common for Black women to be. We find that one of the things that is extremely powerful in overcoming oppression and lack of resources is we target the isolation that women feel that leads to vulnerability. We are powerful in groups, and this is a demonstration and an exercise to that fact, where we highlight two Black women every single week that are on opposite sides of the world, that are interested in the same thing, and are able to share best practices. So I'm super happy to see every last one of you all as we get started. And our goal is for every week, we to bring another person, another Black woman, to spread this message and increase the connectivity of this membership, okay? So we thank you all for being here. We always start off with our roll call so you all know exactly what membership you have joined and the power of the Black women that you are now sisters with. This week, we are now a part of 91 cities worldwide, which is huge. In the US, we have representation in Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., and we are growing. So thank each of you for spreading the word. On the U.S. side of things, our roll call even extends beyond the U.S. on a global footprint. So currently we have members in the United States, Canada, Nigeria, the UAE, Brazil, South Africa, the UK, Barbados, and Ghana. So when we talk about the connectivity that's available through Blvck Womxn Worldwide, these are the women that you all and we all are partnering with currently. So thank you all very, very much. Next, we get to our founders. So my name is Kyra Lee. I am a painter by trade and a creative. And I started this journey with my very good friend and fellow consultant, Brittany Bogan, who is also on the call. Brittany is a singer by craft, a consultant by trade, and a brilliant Black businesswoman who is hailing from Detroit, Michigan. Brittany, are you with us?
I'm here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for sitting and listening to our message and our mission and participating in us connecting Black women to make these sustainable solutions that we're looking for. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. So this call is a bit relaxed, it's kind of casual, and the idea is to exchange ideas and discuss a bit of how we arrived at where we are and what that looks like moving forward. So today we have Janelle Robinson. She is hailing from Detroit, Michigan. Janelle, I'd like you to come off of mute so we can share a bit about your story. You are a life coach, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right, tell us a bit about that journey.
So about 2 years ago, I went ahead and I went into life coaching over the summer while I wasn't in school at Wayne State. I went ahead and took a telecourse to make me a certified coach. So it took me about 6 weeks. And now that I have a foundational course, I can really go into any type of coaching that I want with the niche study. So I have my certification in life coaching, and then I have my certification in parent, youth, and family coaching. And so from that, I went ahead and I opened my own coaching company. And it started off as just for young adult women. So it was pretty in purpose. And then as I started the journey with coaching young adults, I kind of realized that men need help too. And so I went ahead and just made it my personal brand where I could help all young adults. And then I went and got my parent, youth, and family coaching because my goal is to open a community center. And so that's where my nonprofit experience comes from, because when I graduated high school, I started my own nonprofit, and it was mainly a mentoring program, and it started with helping youth in Metro Detroit gain better self-esteem and confidence skills. And so from that, I knew that I always wanted a center for youth and families to come and get resources. So I plan to use a combination of my expertise and my experience in education and just my personal experiences and open a community.
Love it. So when you look at the nonprofit that we discussed and the impact that you want to have on the community, what are some specifics that you have for goals?
So I want the main thing to be a resource center so they can come and receive whatever type of resources that they need. Just for me working with youth in the last few years, it goes to just a simple being able to wash their clothes, and with groceries, educational aspect of it, tutoring services, the social skills of it, because a lot of youth lack social skills. So to provide them with the social skills that they need, and mainly as a family unit, just a family dynamic, just for mental health within that. And so that's really where I did the parent, youth, and family coaching, because I feel like it's such a need to help the family dynamic, because it really starts at home. And I see so much at work with our youth that we work with, and a lot of it stems from their home life. So I want to provide resources for the mental health of the family.
I love it. So where are you in the nonprofit launch process? Have you started filing yet? Have you started organizing? Is it in concept? Where are we?
So I filed back in 2015 when I first opened my organization. But when my grandparents got sick, I had to close my organization, but it's still active with the IRS. So I have the filing. I'm a certified 501c3. And then I recently just changed the name. So when I first opened it, it was named after my grandfather, Junius T-Bone Foundation. And then I just went through the process. It was maybe about a month or so ago, and it finally was changed to Community Empowered, which is what the center will be called.
Powerful.
Thank you.
I'm going to pivot for a moment. We have another member on our call. Her Excellency, Ambassador AISHA Bello, is joining us today. She's actually hailing from Nigeria, and she is the head of a nonprofit organization that we are working with called the Voices of the Girl, Child, and Vulnerable Peoples Foundation. Ambassador Bello, could you take yourself off mute, please?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Is it good afternoon? For me, it's good evening because it's already late. Yeah.
For those of you all who are on the East Coast, on Eastern Standard Time, Nigeria is actually 5 hours ahead of you. So keep that in mind as we're building, okay? Thank you so much for being here, Ambassador. We really, really appreciate you. So we have been working with Ambassador Bello over the last few weeks on a project that is to empower women and girl children in the rural areas of Nigeria. What we've been finding out through these conversations is that the way that we view classism and segments in the US is very similar to the challenges that we're experiencing in Nigeria. So Ambassador Bello, when we talk about some of the challenges for women and girl children, could you tell the ladies on the call a bit about what that looks like in the rural areas and what your organization seeks to achieve?
In Nigeria, most of the challenges we face here has to do with culture and religion, and also education, because it is believed, like in this northern part of Nigeria, like the girl is just trained to be in her husband's house. So once she's like 11, 12, she's getting ready to be married out. Yeah. So we have a major problem of early marriage, child sexual abuse, which is peculiar and is a global thing, domestic violence. But in all of this, I think most of the major challenge that is causing all of this has to do with the culture and religion of the people, because it is perceived that the woman's place is just at home. She has little to offer. Her major role is just to give birth to children. So these are few of the challenges, and that's why most of them, we have issues of lack of education. They are mostly illiterate. And that's why even when we want to empower them, we have to also look at the aspect of where they are coming from. So these are the major challenges we face here in rural areas in Nigeria. Thank you.
So one of the reasons that I brought you guys together on the same Know Her Name is Janelle and Ambassador Bello. The language is slightly different, but there's a lot of similarity when it comes to challenges in women's empowerment globally, which is the lens we use. So for you, Janelle, you were mentioning the fact that everything starts at home. Our culture at home, our culture of support is a main barrier or support system for Black women. For everyone on the call, I want us to keep that in mind as we move forward in our individual service. We have to start with the household. The second thing was literacy. In the States, and you guys can come off of mute, this is an open discussion. how much have we stressed in our programming the importance of literacy? Is that something that you guys are seeing a lot in your programming as professional women? As a general statistic, being a native Detroiter myself, we were up against a 40% literacy rate during the last census, Ambassador Bello. So it's very interesting that even though we are worlds apart in terms of distance, our challenges as Black women and the route to empowerment looks the exact same. Another thing that I wanted you to bring up, Ambassador Bello, you had mentioned the fact that early marriage is an issue and sexual abuse, correct? For the ladies on the call, you had mentioned that women are married very young in your area. What are some of the youngest examples that you've seen?
I haven't seen many examples of young marriage.
Yeah, I've never seen any young marriages either in our area.
So what's interesting is when we start talking about marriage from the global perspective, right? That is the cultural and religious pairing of a woman to a partner, right?
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the impact on a woman's financial status when you start becoming sexually active extremely early, whether it's forced or voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
The second issue that we had discussed, Ambassador Bello, on our other call is the fact that in this early marriage, you also have women that are producing children at an extremely early age, right?
Yes.
And we have that same challenge here in the States, correct? Where for those of us that have friends that were starting to become sexually active as early as middle and high school, their trajectory looked different by the time we entered college and beyond. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So I want to keep that commonality through this global lens, because the funny thing about this call, right? We have two different origins of how we arrived at this Black existence, but I'm trying to point out the overlap that we're experiencing when it comes to common factors that limit a woman's ability to thrive early on. None of these are permanent, and they're all things that we can address in time, but they change the trajectory of where we're going and what we have to overcome to be successful. One of the other points that you had brought out, Ambassador Bello, in your nonprofit work was the lack of resources.
Yeah.
You're mentioning that in the ability to create a woman's own journey, her husband has all this say-so, her partner has all this say-so because she's not earning enough. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
So with your work, Janelle, when you are tackling the coaching of the parent, the coaching of the woman, the coaching of the kids, are you having that same discussion of what earning your own money and having your own financial resources like? Is that something you have to tackle in your training?
So through my experience with my mentoring program, it was resources, but it wasn't so much financial. It was more so like transportation was always the issue, or like if we did trips, or I guess you could say financial, because if we took like field trips, typically there were options like the organization would pay for it. But if it was a time where I needed like a parent too, that was it was an issue for them. So financially and just having the transportation as a resource was a struggle for a lot of the families that I served with on the trip.
In our recent discussion this past week with Ambassador Bello's team, there was an idea that was founded that is being tentatively named the Voices of Heroes through Fine Arts and Education. Out of all of the characterization of the African woman versus the African American woman, you're always getting these really demeaning pictures of this very broken victimization of our counterparts, and that's not true. What came out of this message and this partnership was a vocational program that wants to empower women in the rural areas to tell their stories through theater, fashion, and design. This is what our sisters want to get into. Does that sound familiar? Over in the States, we're extremely high on our fashion design, on our look and aesthetic, and some of the folks that want to break out of some of these impoverished situations, the two things that we look to are sports and entertainment. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting through this partnership that was the same conversation that came up. Years apart, distance is a thing, but our same counterparts over in Africa are experiencing these same interests, which is nice. And we want this conversation to highlight that we're extremely similar, even though marketing, advertising, and honestly propaganda paints us in these very different lights. One of the things I wanted to ask Ambassador Bello, since you all have taught us a lot about the culture in the rural region, what are some of the ideas that Black women in your area have about African American women over here? Are there any misconceptions or any ideas that you were surprised by through our conversations?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Good. Then you guys are much more generous than our advertising here, and that's good to hear. I wanted you to join the call today, Ambassador, because Janelle was asking about how to get started with really launching this nonprofit. You had mentioned that folks got sick in your personal life, right? We are one woman all the time. So when things come up, a lot of times some of our vision and some of our goals are truncated, stopped, paused, so that we can deal with life, because we only have one life, right? I wanted you to be able to be aware that there is a woman of Ambassador Bello's caliber that has the exact same challenges that you're having, and the steps are the same. So as we're working on this project, if any of the women on this call would like to lend your service and your time, Erica Beal, who is on the call today, is actually the chair of this project from the Blvck Womxn Worldwide team. And this is an open resource that we have to support Ambassador Bello in developing a curriculum that uses fine arts to address all of these educational pieces to empower women. How cool is that? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So in terms of this audience, we always turn this over to the participants on the call. And again, we always get write-in and letters and social media feedback on different questions that you all would have had. But does anyone have any questions for Ambassador Bello, from how to get your nonprofit started to how to have an impact in what they call rural, we call the hood, or, you know, our more impoverished areas. But would you all like to ask any questions of the ambassador in terms of what her journey looked like, or some best practices to get started when it comes to service work? So many thoughtful faces. One question I have for you, Ambassador Bello, is how did you become an ambassador in the first place? What did that journey look like?
Well, you know, sometimes our experience has a lot to do with what we become in future. Sometimes we learn through experience, and growing up in the northern part of Nigeria, where all this culture and traditions are, you know, interfering in the way we are. At the time, I think I have a kind of mixed personality, trying to be who they want me to be and trying to be myself at the same time. So at the time, you get confused, like, what am I doing? Who am I? And you keep asking yourself all these questions. But that aside, but it's really affected me seriously, because even when I got married is another story on its own. I'm also a victim of domestic violence. That's just the truth. And it was after that experience that I started all this, like, okay, now I'm out of that marriage and all that. I have kids. I look at what the girl child go through from childhood and all that. Wow, and that is where all those experience comes from. And it was easy for me really to navigate my ways, because this is something I've gone through, I've passed through it. So it was very easy, like even meeting women that have similar issues. When you talk to them, you already know what they're facing. Of course, you that have not faced that or you have not experienced that, you won't really understand. Because when they're saying something, automatically it's just clicked to my head, like, yo, I understand what you're saying. You don't need to explain further. So this is how I started, and then I decided to launch my organization, Voice of the Girl Child, because I look at the whole problem has to do with the foundation. And I felt that whatever we should do, it has to do from the grassroots. And that is why I said, okay, let's develop the girl child, because that is where we also developed our personality from. And that is how we started, kept moving and all that. So before I knew it, I was recommended and I became a global goodwill ambassador, aside what I'm doing for my organization. And it kept going. Before you know it, some organization will also want you to be part of them. And I also became an ambassador for Global Youth Mental Health and also Child Abuse Prevention Programs. It's a global program that we do. So that is how the journey started. It's a long time anyway, and it has to do with experience. And that is why I keep telling everyone that wants to have a kind of organization like this, it has to do with passion. It's not something that you would just go and study if it's medicine or law. No, no, no. It's not all about that, but all about passion. I have passion for it. I really want to see a change because I've been there and I want the whole system to change. If it's something I can just turn my hands and change it within a day, I would have done that because I felt the women are more on the advantage side. Seriously, they have a lot. And today we had a conference on gender-based violence. I was surprised somebody asked a question like, we're talking about abuse within the family unit. And the person said, well, there is nothing we can do to a father who is abusing his child. The only thing we can do is to train the child on how to survive with the abusive person. That is, I don't think that is how we think. And I think all change has to start from us. Seriously, we have a problem. Our mentality has to change because I can't imagine somebody thinking like, that means she should permanently remain with that abusive person or with that father. Even if it's her father, she deserves a better life. Yeah, so I think that is how we have to develop. It's just passion. Let me put it that way. It's just passion. I have passion and I really want to see a change. So if you're that kind of person, you have passion for humanity and you want to create a change, then you're good to go. Thank you.
It's so amazing how when a Black woman goes through trauma, there's something beautiful birthed every single time, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a domestic violence situation, we will come out of the most horrible situations and build something so powerful and so beautiful strictly because you made us mad and you hurt our feelings. And the very next thing, you create an entire organization and change the thing that hurt you, take its power and create something beautiful. And I love that about us. I love that about us. I will say that we have that in common, Ambassador Bello. I was in a domestic violence situation myself. I'm sure there's many women on this call that probably have either themselves or know someone that has. So it's a very common thing, unfortunately, and it's something that we're actively seeking to change. One of the things that I learned from you is the importance of making sure in our work for women, we're not leaving this partner behind to be resentful. Myself, Ms. Beal and Ms. Bogan had a long conversation earlier this week about what to do with this Black male as the woman grows, as she develops, as she becomes a stronger person, as she sheds these bad habits, these vices, this pain. What do we do with him? We don't want to break the marriages up. We don't want to leave women with partners that are resentful. And we know that if we don't grow together, those relationships break up. And we're all over social media telling people about how he or she wouldn't move with me. I wanted them to come with me. I was going back to school. I was building my organization. I was chasing my passion. And this partner loved me, but they didn't grow with me. So we grew apart. And it's a thing. So I love the fact that you, Ambassador, brought back to the forefront how important it is to include and require that our men grow. Either for us or for themselves, we must give them aspects to grow on so that we will have that developed partner at the end of our own journey. So thank you for that. If any of you all are looking for mentorship, Ambassador has been wonderful through her own organization in terms of mentoring and being here for these women. Ambassador, you told us a story about a young lady that had just gotten beaten up by her partner and came to you. Yes. I really appreciate your love and your availability and your dedication to this work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And same to you, Janelle. When it comes to being there for families and starting this journey of service, do you find that it's not a 9 to 5? Do you find that you have to be more available than typical jobs would require?
Yeah, definitely. I think with all of the with everything that I do, just between teaching and then coaching and mentoring and just nonprofit work, it definitely requires a lot from you. It's really hard to pour from an empty cup, so you always have to check in with yourself. And Ms. Bill, she can even Ms. Golson, she works with us as well. Just the dedication that we have at work is just it's needed. With the kids that we serve, they definitely need people to show them that you care. And it's not easy work, but every day I go in there and try to give it my all. So yeah, it's not a 9 to 5 for sure.
If you don't mind me asking, what was your why? Why did you take on this act of service as a lifestyle?
So when I started my nonprofit organization, that stemmed from, similar to you, an ambassador, it stemmed from what I went through personally, just with a lack of confidence and self-esteem within myself. And so I wanted to help the next child that dealt with that, and just not feeling like, you're good enough. And then too, at a young age, it was revealed to me what my purpose was in life. And so I always wanted to help other young people or even older people that have a lack of purpose and don't know what they're here to do. I just wanted to help people know that, because knowing your purpose, it definitely helps you with knowing your why. And that's what kind of keeps me going every day, just going to work. And what I do is just knowing my why and my purpose, and that is bigger than me. So even when I don't feel like it, I know that it's required. And so, yeah, that's my why. Helping others figure out their why.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
Mhm.
So I do want to make a small pivot. The purpose of us doing this work, and it's a short call that we have every Saturday, is to have discussions like this that change perspective. We want to make sure that as we are doing this work, we continue to be very focused on our mission together. So the mission of Black Women Worldwide is that we are a charitable nonprofit startup established for the education, advancement, mentorship, wellness, and financial success of Black women in every walk of life. We recognize COVID-19 as the largest disruptor to the status quo in our lifetime. And during this 2020 global pandemic, a team of brilliant Black women analyzed the existing realities of millions of Black women across the world. And what we found out in discussions like this is that our pain and our frustration is not isolated. So using the power of that global lens, we seek to develop the technology necessary to make protecting and supporting all Black women and our ventures sustainable. The approach that we use is fourfold. We use tech and teamwork to create the first global database of this kind, so that a Janelle Robinson in Detroit, Michigan can find an Ambassador Bello in Nigeria, and you all can exchange best practices, partner, and achieve a global imprint larger than siloed attempts on your own. We find that when we connect folks, you move faster, you can share resources, and specifically through the Black Girl Magic Chain, things happen overnight. We want to connect individual Black women and their children with solutions powered by Black women using our mobile phone. We want to break barriers for Black women-owned brands and businesses through education, capacity building, community, and connection. We seek to build bridges that repurpose the $1 trillion annual Black spend for the personal and professional development of Black women worldwide. So our ask at the end of this call is to get involved. We discussed that we have several projects, but the one that we're partnering with Ambassador Bello on would be interesting to any of you all that are interested in theater, the development of young women and children, and an outlet that is international in footprint. We ask that you all let people know about this Saturday call and invite someone. And in your personal life, seek out Black women and connect with them. If you're in the bank, ask for the Black woman tailor. If you're at the grocery store, ask for the Black woman salesperson. If you're going to purchase goods or materials, see if you can research a Black woman online that has that business or service. Patronize her, and our communities will be better for it. And finally, we ask that you all tell our story. We are here and we are growing. We are 91 cities strong, and that number is still climbing. So we hope that you all will see the value in this network and see the value in our work here together. We are here to answer the question of how to find her and how to know her name. So for your friends that are looking to register and to donate to keep this mission moving, our website is www.Blvck, spelled with a V, women, spelled with an X, worldwide.org. And the explanation for the spelling is right there online. Well, I want to thank everyone so much for your time. You guys have been amazing. And I hope to see you back next week. If there are any other Black women-owned businesses that you all would like to see featured, including your own, please email us, connect with us, let us know, and we'll definitely be here for you, okay?
Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us on this call today. We know that you're very busy. We appreciate your time.
Yes.
Thank you, all of our ladies who showed up today. We appreciate you being here with us, hearing our message, and pushing our mission further. Thank you so much for all of your time. We appreciate you so much.
And I just want to thank all the ladies on this call for what you're doing in the world. Even if you weren't speaking today, we've heard your stories one-on-one, and you all are amazing. So please continue to connect with one another, continue to stay passionate about things you're doing. Ambassador Bello, thank you so much for being both a mentor and a friend on this call. We appreciate you. And we're looking forward to our great work together.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful Saturday, and we'll see your lovely faces soon, hopefully next week.